Welcome back to Aletius Sports Talk. I'm Enrique Aletius. We just saw the Vegas Golden Knights take on the Panthers Game 1 Stanley Cup Finals, and it was a pretty good game. Vegas Knights take it 4-2 in the second, although I don't think this was really a 4-2 game all the way through. I think towards the end, Vegas kind of ran away with it. A couple mistakes by the Panthers here and there, but overall, I thought it was a pretty even game. I think, going back, a lot of people, and I was interested to see how the Panthers would come out after a long time off, and I thought they did a good job. They put the pressure early. I thought they were cycling the puck well, especially in the offensive zone. The Knights, they were pretty good too. They in the first period, I think the Panthers took control of the first, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. The Panthers definitely came out with a lot of energy. They came out with physicality. The way that they were able to come out strong was a good sign, and especially in the beginning of the game. You want to come out with energy. You want to come out, especially you're away, so you want to take away that home crowd advantage. But the Knights hang in there. They hung in there. They were able to not have the Panthers run away with it too much. I thought the forecheck between both teams was great. And I think starting off first, it was a big matchup between both Bobrovsky and Adin Hill, right? I think the big story is going to be like which of these two goalies, has their A game, and they have the A game consistently throughout all, however long this series goes. I think Bobrovsky is such a great lateral movement goalie. His strength, and I've talked about it a bunch of times in this channel, his strength is his down low play, side to side, his ability to challenge out, come back in. He's so good at using his space within his crease and using that to his advantage along with his size and covering up as much net as possible, which, those kind of skills and that kind of play is really huge when you're talking about fractions of an inch with whether it's between a goal or not. He's got great vision. He's got active hands. I like the fact that his hands are always like leading the play. And if that's one thing, Lundqvist has talked about that in the intermission reports on TNT, where it's true. Like he leads with his hands, and when he moves, his shoulders, his head, they all kind of move together, and it's so fun to see. And so he's such a strong goalie in that sense. And on the other side, you got Adin Hill, who he's a huge goalie. He's like 6'6". I mean, he's a monster, that guy. Especially, I don't know if that's without skates. I think that's probably without skates there. So 6'6" on the ice, or 6'6" plus his skates on the ice. So he's probably 6'7". He's a big dude, but he's also very efficient. I think sometimes being big gets a certain rap of like, oh, you're big, so he doesn't have to move a lot. And I mean, look, on NHL, I think every goalie is exceptional, right? They got such good movement. They know how to do everything. Now it's just a matter of like, should you do everything, right? Like, should you, if you are Adin Hill, do you challenge out as much? Do you, do you stand on top of your crease more? Do you hang back more? Like, he has the ability to do either one. It's just more of now it's like fine tuning his game to be able to be as efficient as possible, and he's done that. He doesn't challenge out as much as Bobrovsky. He doesn't, challenge out and in as much as Bobrovsky does. But he's so efficient, and that's what makes him really good. Is that he doesn't need that extra movement, but he's also got the athleticism if he does. And we see it. We'll touch on it later, but that amazing stick save he had. He's got that long reach, right? So he can kind of reach back with his paddle and his arm, and he's just able to be big in net. Even when he's off positioning, he can spin, he can reach back and whatever and extend his leg like he did on that Reinhardt breakaway at the end of the game. So there's these two goalies are different. There's similarities between the two, but I think there's definitely a level of more. I think they're more different than they are similar. But he's Adin Hill has taken over and played with such a level of confidence, which is so cool to see, right? I mean, we saw it with like Matt Murray maybe from years ago with the Penguins, but when you take over and you gain that confidence, you see a guy who wasn't the starter, who didn't have a whole lot of playing time in general with the team. He comes in and he has that confidence, and you can see it grow now. That confidence grows, which is really cool. And now he's played with a bit of an edge. Right, in this game, he gets a little physical. He like, throws some jabs at whoever was in front of the net there in the first period or whatever. It's cool to see, and it's cool to see the like the growth of a player like this, of a guy like this, and he now becomes this like confident starter and leader of the team. So it's pretty cool to watch. In the middle of the first period, this game did start to get a little chippy, and again, they also mentioned on the broadcast that you see that more so happen towards the middle of the series and then towards the end of the series. But this one, right away, it's just chippy, and it's it gets a little bit there's a lot of fights between the two and a lot of hitting each other and scrums in front of the net. And I think that we're going to start seeing that, right? And these two teams have the guys on both sides that aren't afraid to kind of take a little shot and jab here and there. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. You don't want to do it to a point where it costs you a penalty that could lead to a goal. And I think maybe on this game, I don't really like the officiating, but I think this game, it was a weird balance, I thought, of how the refs were trying to handle this game. Because there were some, like that one play where Adin Hill basically just takes a jab at the guy. And I forgot who it was, but the only person who got a penalty on that play was the Panthers guy. And it's like, all right, so you can just jab at the guy and get away with it. But then there was other plays where the Panthers, I think Panthers were called for a tripping. But really, what happened was his stick hit his leg, the Vegas player's leg, but he really kind of toe picked the ice and he tripped that way. But the refs kind of called it tight there, but they don't call it tight on some other plays. So a little bit confusing of how they were going to handle the series. But we'll see how moving forward how it gets handled. But I think so going back to the first period, I think the Panthers were able to and put the pressure on first, and they were able to take advantage of a broken stick play. And when the Golden Knights had their power play, and I forgot who it was, but I know Stahl basically pushed on that penalty kill because one of the Vegas players had to get their stick. By the time he kind of turns around, Stahl kind of already had the puck in the neutral zone, so he's already up ice, comes in. I think there was a second guy pushing there too with the Panthers, but that's what the Panthers do. It's like they have this really strong forecheck, and on those kind of plays, they're just going to go for it. As opposed to some teams where they might just be happy with taking the puck, dumping it down, and playing it safe. It's a big game, opening game, and you want to not make the mistake. It's kind of cool to see the Panthers play in a way where they're not afraid to make that big play, and they're not afraid to go for it. And it paid off. They got a good goal there. They get the nice little wraparound goal by Stahl, and Adin Hill kind of finds himself a little out of his crease. I know we were just talking earlier about how he plays well when he's within his crease, and again, Lundqvist did touch on that too, where he kind of found himself a little bit out of his crease. And yeah, it's just one of those plays that I'm sure he looks back on it, he'll probably play a little bit more passive. But overall, that was a good play by the Panthers, a good press, it's a good push, and they were able to really take it to the Knights. And that's the thing that throughout that first period, I kind of thought, all right, this is what we're going to see from the Panthers, and this is how they're going to get their offense and how they're going to get their pressure and goals is by really pressing and getting in those like situations that really handcuff the Knights. And I thought we would see more of that. But as the game kind of went, or even as the period went on, the Knights start to gain momentum. I think it happened after they killed one of the power plays that they had, or the Panthers power plays that they had there. And the Knights were able to kill that off. And after they killed that off, I think that's when they got that momentum, and they got that momentum. And then from there, they basically were able to play the game they wanted to play. And I think that the way that the Knights play is that they really are able to isolate sometimes who they want in that offensive zone. And we saw it there and that goal that they got, like they were able to drag the Panthers, basically the whole Panthers team, but like a bunch of their guys over to one side of the ice. And then Marchessault comes sneaking into the slot there. Nice pass, nice goal, nice shot. No chance for Bobrovsky. He didn't even see it. He he didn't see Marchessault kind of slide in the slot there. It just happened so quick. And if Marchessault was a little bit slower, I think Bobrovsky would have peeked over and seen that, the guy was creeping in, and he might have been able to be a little bit more like cheat on his angle a little bit. But the play happened so quick that they just couldn't. Bobrovsky couldn't adjust to it. But it was 1-1, and I think again, like, it was a very close game. It was a little bit back and forth in the beginning or in the first period. At one point, Panthers had all the offense, and then maybe towards the end of it, last maybe 7 minutes or so, again after the penalty kill by the Golden Knights there, they were able to get momentum from that, so kind of shifted there. But I feel like, though, after that period, the Golden Knights started to come on. The Knights started to feel that momentum shift in their favor there. They started to get more better. They get better chances, and then, moving on to the second period, starting off there, first 2-3 minutes, Adin Hill, maybe save of the playoffs there. That was unreal. Just they flashed it back to like how Braden Holtby made that good paddle stop there. I thought Braden Holtby's was a little bit better just because of the situation, and the shot was a lot harder with Holtby's, but still, this one, man, Cousins was probably kicking himself after that. Like, open net, right? All he had to do was elevate the puck, but he got the blade on it, not just the paddle, but the blade on it, and just reaches back. Amazing save. Really good save by him. I think that's just a desperation save by Adin Hill. He's been huge for them. That's a huge stop. I thought that gave them the momentum to kind of move forward, and just, all around at home, game one, keep the game. I think at that point 1-1. I think that was a big turning point, just in terms of like, all right, from that point on, I felt like the Panthers were playing to the Knights level, as opposed to at the beginning of the game. It was like the Knights were trying to catch up to where the Panthers were at, just in terms of energy and the way that the game was going. And then after that, like, the Knights started to control the game more, and then eventually the Knights get their goal, right? And on that goal, this is huge for just being able to beat Bobrovsky, because he's been playing so well. The way that I think you beat him is the way the Knights did for like that goal, and I think the third goal that they got to, is you take away his eyes, right? You if he sees it, there's a good chance he's going to stop it. Especially on this second goal, where he basically didn't have, like, he had two bodies in front, right? So he could look left, he could look right, or whatever. He couldn't. He had no chance, right? Because there were two big bodies in front. One of them his own defenseman, and then even I think Duclair was like in front of the two people in front of him. So it's almost three people, and he just had no chance. And it's but that's how you got to beat him, right? Because he's so quick. He's got such good reflexes that if he can see the shot, there's a good chance he can stop it. But if you can take that away from him, then there's a good chance that he's going to struggle. And he did, right? And I think the Knights had found a good method and a good way to beat him moving forward. But we'll see how they adjust. And I think maybe one of the things that the Panthers are going to do moving forward is to clear the guys in front, because you want to give Bobrovsky the chance to really stop that puck and to be able to see it all the way through, so he can make his reads and really understand like what the situation in front of him is. Because if he's just peeking over, he can't see it, But yeah, they did a good job of taking away his vision, getting goals that way. But I also think too, not only did the Knights do well in the offensive zone on Bobrovsky, they did a great job too of defensively keeping because from that point on, I think from like middle of the second period, in my opinion, all the way up till maybe towards the end of the game. I mean, they had a couple good chances toward the end of the game, but the Panthers didn't have a whole lot of like grade A scoring chances. I think if you compare the chances to like how the Knights did, the Knights had a bunch of odd man rushes. There was some short breakaways like in the middle, maybe not even a shot on net, but it was still there. Like there was still options. The Panthers didn't really have that. A lot of their shots were from the outside. They would kind of come up to the circles and then take a shot, just try to get something on Hill, which is still good. Like I think it's better that, something's better than nothing. But that I don't think that's been the Panthers' game in terms of offense, right? They haven't been the team where they're not the one to take shots from the tops of the circle and try to get a goal that way. They're the team that will, like, they're pretty successful in like the front of the crease and you know dirty goals and the gritty goals like that. So that's where, if you take that away from them, I think that's where they kind of struggle, because now, all right, how are we gonna, they don't exactly have the most snipers on their team. So it's like, all right, how are we gonna get to the goalie, and how are we gonna get kind of in the house, they call it, right, in the house of Adin Hill. It's hard to really get chances if you shoot it from the circles and a little bit outside of the dots, and it's just eaten by him. There's no rebound. There's no, no bounce or whatever. It's just shot, save, cover, or kind of pass it along, and it's almost like a one and done play. So the Knights did a good job of keeping them to the outside, and but towards the end, right, it was still 2-1 towards the end, and this was kind of ironic that the Panthers get a goal off of a face-off, like what lasts like 10 seconds. Because I think for the most part, I mean, I know that towards the end of the game, the faceoffs were pretty much even, a little bit in the favor of the Knights, but up to that point, it seemed like the Panthers were losing key faceoffs in their offensive zone. But this one, good win and a quick shot by Duclair, and bounces, gets right in there, and it's 2-2 game going into the third. So again, it was still a close game heading into the third, and I thought that I thought that it's like, from that point on, you still didn't know who was going to take advantage of it all and take control of the game or whatever. But it's one of those things too. Like you give the Panthers just that opening, just that chance. It's one face-off win, and boom. I think it hits a skate of a player or whatever. Looked like Adin Hill had trouble really tracking it. Like it went right through the 5-hole, but I think he thought it was going to go maybe blocker side or low blocker on the pad. But that's all it takes, right? And he was able to get that. The Panthers were able to get that goal, tie it up, and going to the third period, it's a close game. You would think it kind of goes in overtime, but just the way that everything's been going in this playoffs. But I think that, again, as the game went on more, like, so that goal though was off of a faceoff, right? It wasn't a odd man rush or even anything about like a extended offensive pressure. It was just more of, they got the puck down deep and they were able to get a face-off somehow there, and then they got the puck and quick draw and get a goal there. So as the game went on, moving on to the third period, like the Knights still seemed to have control of the game in terms of just like better chances, right? I thought that the chances that the Panthers were getting were still more to the outside. The Knights were playing strong defensively. Credit to them. There was even like some short breakaway chances and odd man rushes that the Golden Knights had. They're able to, again, get that go-ahead goal with getting bodies in front. And this time around, it's a bit of a longer shot, but still, I think you can even see Bobrovsky was, a little pissed off at himself for letting in that goal. But you take away his vision, you take away his ability to track the puck well. It's a lot harder for a goalie to make those reads and to be able to really get those shots that seemingly are easier, or and not that any shot's easy, but it's just, you would think he would normally stop that, but if you can't see it all the way through, it could be a little bit harder for him. So Golden Knights, again, Knights did a good job of that. They took his eyes away, get a goal, 3-2. And again, like even now, it's still, the Panthers still didn't have as much of a offensive attack as, compared to maybe where they were at in the first period. And then, we move a little bit on, and towards the end of the third, I think it's maybe like under 5 minutes left, around the 6-minute mark, Chuck tries to clear the puck away. And for me, I don't think much was being made out of like why Chuck could have. He kind of tossed it basically center of the ice. He like flipped it. It was in the air, but it was like towards the center of the ice. And I know he had like about two Panthers players kind of like rushing forward. But I would think like that's a play that you would have to, you have to go to the boards. When you're in that situation, I don't know if you want to throw it down the middle of the ice, because what happened is one of the things that people always are afraid of happening is some guy can bat it down, and Stoner did. So Stone gets the puck, bats it down, rips it top teddy on Bobrovsky, and it was reviewed at. I thought the review was pretty quick. They said it was a pretty quick review, that it was shoulder level to where his shoulder is normally at. I still thought, even though he's leaning in like that, and he kind of I thought the stick was a little bit, because I thought the puck hit the stick towards the blade area, so it's a little bit like higher. It's not like in the bottom, but whatever. I mean, even though that was the call, they challenged it and didn't win the challenge. But even though I didn't think that the Panthers still were, they didn't have really as much momentum for that to be like the reason why they might have lost or whatever. So, tough break, I guess, but still, Panthers, I thought, were getting outplayed. The further the third period went along, I thought the more and more the Panthers were getting outplayed. And they had one last chance, right? They were on a penalty kill. The Panthers on a penalty kill, and Reinhart had he kind of broke free, right? He took a chance, broke free, had an opening, had a breakaway, huge stop by Hill. Again, they didn't elevate that puck. I mean, maybe the next game, the Panthers are just going to be telling themselves, right, elevate that damn puck, like go a little higher, because on that one he had Hill down, but he kind of puts it around him and puts it on his pad on the ice. So he wasn't able to get it, and then maybe a play after that, the Knights get their empty net goal there, which I think is underrated. Is if you look right when it's in the offensive zone or the defensive zone for the Knights, Jack Eichel does a really good stick lift to get the puck away from the Panthers guy. Basically turns around, gets it, passes it basically across the board or across the ice down to his guy. I think Riley Smith gets it and buries it to the empty net. But really smart play there by Eichel. And Eichel's been really good this game. He didn't get a goal again. Didn't get a goal last playoff series. Didn't get a goal this game. But I mean, I think you look at the way that he's played, and he's been such a presence on the ice. And sometimes it doesn't matter if you don't get a goal as long as you are playing really well and you have other guys on the team that can get that goal for you. And Marchessault has been unbelievable for the Knights in terms of offensive production. So, like, it kind of takes the pressure off of Eichel to have to put stuff, bury it behind the net, just because if you got Eichel or if you got Marchessault that's being able to get goals and Stoner's getting goals, and Eichel just has to make sure that he puts those guys in the good position or puts his team in a good position to get goals there. But overall, I thought that this was a really close game. I thought it was a closer game than what the score would indicate. Panthers came out hot and they came out physical and with a lot of energy, which you want. And I don't think that that's something that they should lose or should change in the next game. I think it's just more of tightening up defensively and being able to get into prime scoring chances in the offensive zone, right? Just having shots on the outside is not going to be good enough against Hill. I don't think against this team that's so well defensively built on defense. Cassidy, Bruce Cassidy is really big on the defensive part of the game. And so I don't think if you're going to take shots from the outside, I think the Knights want that. They're like, oh, great, take as many shots on the outside. Hill's going to stop it. No big deal. As the game progressed, I think the Knights were really able to take away so many good scoring chances away from them. Panthers going to have to find a way to get through that, adjust, and get more chances in good key areas, like in the house. Like I was talking about, like in the house, like around that crease area, inside the dots. They're going to need more chances in that zone. At the same time, the Knights themselves, they were able to get really good scoring chances. I think the defense, they were to find some gaps and holes on the Panthers defense. They were able to get odd man rushes. That's huge. I think that they were able to hold the Panthers off at their own blue line, so they didn't really generate a whole lot. And I think that's, and most importantly, I think they were able to get bodies in front of Bobrovsky. That's one thing that the Hurricanes probably didn't do a good enough job of, right? And I think the Knights are a big team, like physically, like they're a big team that when they get in front of Bobrovsky, they make it hard on him to track shots, and that's where as fast as he is and as good of his reflex as he has, you take his vision away, makes it really hard to stop shots, and that's one thing they did a good job of. And I think that this, overall, again, was a pretty even game. I don't know if I think we're going to see adjustments by the Panthers and the Knights as well, but I think Panthers are going to adjust their game and find ways to get behind the defense and get through into those close areas around the net. I think maybe they might use the behind the net play more. They have good success with that against like Boston and teams like that, where they can at least maintain possession in the offensive zone. opposed to just trying to go one and done, down the sides of the ice and just shoot outside the dots or whatever. But I think the Panthers I don't think that this game is. I think they're better than what I guess the second half of this game showed. But the Knights too, they showed in this game that when they play their game and they play the way they want you to play, like they can kind of control the other teams and to control their chances and keep them to the outside. Strong defensive game first, and then after that, find holes in the other team's defense and really get goals that way. I mean, they may be the next champions, So great game, really great game by them. Well strategized game by them, and they really hung in there after that first period of the Panthers just putting the pressure on. But we'll see. It should be a fun series. I think this is going to be a fun series. It's going to be a physical series. These two teams already seem like they get under each other's skin sometimes, so that should be fun. But I'm excited to see how this one pans out. Let me know what you think in the comments, how you think it's going to end up, who you think is going to win game 2, maybe how many games it goes for. I think this could probably go, I think it goes 7 games, but I think it's probably going to go 6. I think it'll go 6 games. I don't know who's going to take it right now. It's only game 1, but I think it'll go 6. So should be a fun one. But that's it. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you watched it this far, if you liked it, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. I'll be covering more of these Stanley Cup playoff games as they happen. Thanks again for watching. I'm Enrique Aletius, and this has been Aletius Sports Talk.